What's up, you guys? In today's video, I go over some of my favorites from 2020. Stay tuned. What is up, you guys? It's your boy Luis Torres, and it is year end. And apparently, every YouTuber is now going over all their favorite things that they got in 2020, and they're doing this whole ramping up of gear, and this is what this sounds like, this is what that sounds like. I'm not about that life. So, what I am gonna do is just feature some of the pedals and gear that I bought, and just let you know what I liked about them. So, first up, the Boss Super Overdrive. This thing, dude, I bought this thing for 45 bucks. Best 45 bucks I've ever spent. It is absolutely brutal. It is really more like a TS9, where the drive is just in your face, and this thing lights up. My Marshall JCM 800, which just naturally lacks some gain. This thing puts that thing into high gear. So 45 bucks, you cannot go wrong. Up next is my boy Jordan's company, which is the high wind amplification. This is the Dire Wolf. I'm always repping high wind. So this thing has so many flavors in it. It is absolutely ridiculous, regardless of which amp you put this through. So if you don't believe me, look at all those knobs that you have. A bunch of toggles. It is brutal, brutal. I love this thing so much that I have two of them just because I need a pair. Now you have the PLX FX. This is the blown pedal, so it's a tone, boost, gain. This thing is absolutely incredible, and funny enough, one of my buddies just sent me one, and I loved it so much, I went online and instantly bought it. And the owner, Paul, who's based down in Connecticut, is the super sweetest guy. So if anything, if you want to support local businesses, small business owners, definitely get yourself one of these. You're going to absolutely love it. Next up is my boy Michael's company. This is the MWK Audio. This is the Dybbuk. This is Sammy Dewey from Goat Whore's signature pedal. This, and it's funny because I remember talking to Sammy, and he's like, bro, do yourself a favor and get this Overdrive pedal. And I bought it and fell in love with it. This is his take, a better version of that pedal he told me to buy. This thing is absolutely brutal, and thankful enough, once I first heard about it from Sammy, I immediately reached out to Michael. I'm like, please tell me I can buy one. He's like, not yet. I'm still going back and forth with Sammy. Once I caught wind that it was finally approved by Sammy, I reached out to Michael. I'm like, put me on the list, my man. And I was first on that list. So this is literally the very first Dybbuk pedal that is out in the wild. And it's insane. There's a usurp knob right in the middle, which makes things infinitely different on this pedal than any kind of other overdrive pedal. It's one of those things that, just trust me on it, this thing is brutal as AF. So, what else do we have? Life does not exist in my world without the Pepper's Dirty Tree. This thing has single-handedly changed how I play, how I dial in, regardless of the amp that I'm using. I kind of always have an idea of where I need it to be, and then this thing just punches everyone in the face. So if you live under a rock, you probably don't know this pedal, but this is Tony Pepper's version of a 33 toggle on one end and toggle down is the TC Electronics integrated preamp. This thing is brutal, 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 brutal. Yo, I've turned this pedal on to so many guys, and so many people are just like, bro, that is the best pedal I've ever owned in my entire life. And it holds true in my own life. I have a lot of pedals that I absolutely love for various reasons, but this thing is always on my pedal board, and I just absolutely love it. Of this one, I love it so much, I own 4 of them. Yes, 4. Don't know why. I bought 4 of these. Huge shout out to my boy Karsten out in Germany, the owner of Cleartone. And this is the Leach Bringer. So this is a TC Electronics ballpark kind of a pedal. But here's the one thing, and this is kind of how I try to describe it with everyone. So the low end and the high end on this pedal. So imagine if most integrated preamp pedals, let's say the dial, is usually from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. This one I feel has a wider before and after with both knobs. So again, with using the same scenario of 9 and 3 o'clock. So imagine this starting at 7 o'clock and ending at 5 o'clock. So there's just a wider, array in that frequency spectrum. And this thing is an absolute brutal killer. And if you are not familiar with Cleartone, they also make the Oh My Goat pedal, preamp pedal, which everyone absolutely loves, and I don't know why I don't have one yet. But if you're looking for a sick boost pedal, get yourself one of these. Again, it is the Cleartone Leach Bringer, and Karsten is just a super nice guy out in Germany. And whenever we kind of chat back and forth, I'm always just like his voice, I'm always like, he's got to be like 9 feet tall because he just has like a deep voice. But that's just me because I'm all but 6'5", and I don't have a deep voice like that. And if you think I'm 6'5", yes, I'm 6'5". All right, what else do we have? Bro, are you serious right now? The KSR series. This thing, I actually owned it 2 years ago. Last year, for whatever reason, I just had a lot of gear. Ended up selling mine. Instantly regretted it. Not gonna lie. Just because I realized, like, man, I have other preamp pedals, but nothing is as good as the KSR that I had. So eventually, ended up buying this one from Kyle. It is a custom military green with the sparkle also, and absolutely loved it all over again. I was just like, I could never get rid of this pedal ever. I run this thing literally out of my 20-watt Mooer Tube Engine, and recently, since I just got the Mesa 290 power amp, dude, this thing is brutal. Going through those two, absolutely insane. Just in case I ever decided I'm gonna sell this one, I bought myself another one because Ryan, ended up selling one, and someone reached out to me and they're like, here's his email. I just contacted them for you and said, hey, Luis Torres is going to reach out to you, check your email. And they then followed up with a text to Ryan. Then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, I get a message back from Ryan, and he's like, hey, what's up, Bronco? I've seen your channel before. You want it? You got it. And literally a few days later, ended up getting it. And luckily enough, it was actually a KSR series prototype that was from NAMM 2019, and Kyle actually had that printed in the back of the plate, which is awesome. So I actually have 2 of these, and almost got a third, but that's crazy, right? Then again, that's crazy too. What else do we have? Bro, the ISP Theta, this thing as a preamp pedal. And keep in mind, this is probably closer to a normal amp where you have to actually boost it. But this thing, just as a standalone, I feel like the KSR series doesn't need anything. You can literally go guitar into the series, out to a power amp, done, and for days you have a chug festival. This thing, you just use your favorite boost or your favorite overdrive pedal, and bro, you're golden. This thing, it's just expensive. That's the only thing. So you kind of have to factor, should I get this or should I get the KSR? KSR better than this. If you have a KSR and you have a favorite boost pedal, you can get this, run it through your favorite power amp, and done. Or just throw it right through your loop. Bro, VFE standout. This is a boost pedal with a ridiculous high and low pass filter, level, and a blend, so you can actually blend which side you actually want to boost your tone. This thing, I own 4 of these too, just because I need to have, I'm crazy. We'll just leave it at that. Next up is the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200. This thing, if you're using an 8-ohm cabinet, will really run at 100 watts. But dude, you never need more than 100 watts. And if you're using other cabinets and you're pushing 200, you're crazy. You'll never really, like I have a Randall RG 153. I never crank that. And my Randall, RG 303H is the same thing. But the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200 is a beast. Again, and I've mentioned this in other videos, is this works perfectly with your Kemper. So if you have a Kemper, you can run it through this, have the Kemper create the warmth that you want. If you have a pedal like the series, like a KSR series, you can run it through this. You have a new presence knob that's here that you can utilize. You can adjust your bass and your fat knob, so that way you kind of get a little thicker, so it almost warms it up a little bit. This also has 2 outputs. You can run 2 cabinets, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous when I have my Kemper stage plugged in or my Headrush pedal board. When I run this out stereo, it's just like, what, son? Yo, I'm gonna have a concert at Louis Square Garden, which is right here. So this was great. So is the 20-watt Mooer Tube Engine. This is powered by 6 V6 power tubes. So, you know, those are really like the mini 6L6s. But dude, thing's absolutely brutal. I paid $300 for it. I've seen it used for $250, and literally the best $300 that I've spent with regard to a power amp. The thing is incredible. You get that warmth, and I've actually used it with my Kemper stage. With that, it warms it up, so you can actually dial back on the Kemper end. Some you can actually adjust, some you can't, but absolute brute monster with that thing. And lastly is my Kemper stage. Like, yo, I don't care who you are. And bro, I'm old. I'm old to the point where I remember starting playing guitar again in 2016 and seeing a Kemper, and I'm just like, yo, that's like a UFO. Look at all those lights, just blinking, blinking, bling. But dude, like I looked at that, I'm like, nah, thank you. You're like some 20-year-old kid. Whatever the case is, you're good with that. God bless you. I'm gonna stick to my amps. And funny enough, I had so many people throughout the years say, yo, you have all these amps, but you're a ding-dong. Why? Just get a Kemper and that's it. And you call it a day. But I literally had to have guys who are around my age, who are in their late 40s, early 50s, who had a Kemper, and they're just like, yo, it's not that hard. Like, if you know how to use a Headrush pedal board, it's basically the same thing. It just allows you to do a bunch of other things. So I'm like, all right, let's check it out. So I bought it. Yo, within 10 minutes, I was up and running already. So it really wasn't, you know, it was scary at first. Like when I first started, plugged it in, I'm just like, how do you do, what's this button do? What's this knob? Okay, I kind of got the gist of it. I messed something up. Nothing was coming out of the speakers. I had to do a factory reset of just all the settings. Then I figured that out. Okay, good to go. That was the only issue I've ever had, just because I just hit the wrong button. Aside from that, yo, I've had guys like my boy Chris Reardon. I've had Eric Sicard send me, my boy Jonathan, my boy Mike, send me these profiles, and some of them are Marshall JCM 800s, 2000s, PV 5150, Bogner Uberschalls, Randall Diavlos, Mesa rectifiers. Dude, so I'm one of those guys that's just like, let's see how it sounds compared to its real predecessor. Spot on, and in many cases, as crazy as it sounds, the Kemper sounds better. But keep in mind that, listen, in the end, yo, if you're playing in the studio, that's cool, whatever the case is. If you're playing live, you know, figure out your tone. But if you're recording, bro, you can go ahead and mic up your cabinets, or just use, this is going to be the last thing, or just use a 2 Notes Cab M, which is a cab simulator. This thing is absolutely incredible. So if you don't have a Kemper and all you have are amps, I would suggest you get yourself a 2 Notes Captor, whether it's the original or the X. Get yourself one of these little guys. Run direct if you're recording, run direct if you're playing live, and run that out to front of house. Have your amp behind you so your crowd can actually hear something coming from the front, and that's it. That is it. You know, how some guys aren't marrying both, to me is kind of crazy. I feel like everything has its purpose. I love all of my amps, and you know what? Sometimes, if I'm going to record, I will literally run my Bogner Uberschall into my 2 Notes Captor, out to my 2 Notes Cab M, run direct into my mixer or into my interface, which is a Scarlett 2i4, into my laptop, and done. Dude, done. So, yes, you have to marry both. If you're one-sided, just know I was too. I clearly invested quite a bit on amps, but just know that, not to say that you're limited, but yo, this shit's expensive, son. Yo, it's not cheap. Dude, like, the fact that I have 3 Mesas, to me, is just mind-boggling. And then look at my Marshalls and the PVs that I have and the Bogner. Yeah, so at times, sometimes I look at my bank account and I'm like, yo, I'm crazy right now. I need to stop buying. That being said, I also bought a Marshall 8100 valve state head today for $200. So, guys, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Click below in the description. I'm going to have all my dudes on there. I'm going to have Paul on there, Karsten, Michael's website, Tony's website. I feel like, you know, this is my crew, that this is what I use. You know, these are the things that I felt that I fell in love with in 2020. So guys, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to have so many more videos, especially my Marshall 8100, because I love death. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best, and as usual, I will talk to you soon.